Boardgames with Niramas. I'm Joseph, and I'm here with Drako. Even though I think Drako and the green screen hasn't really been friends lately. I don't know why. Sorry, Drako. I don't know why the green screen doesn't like you anymore. It works on Zoom. I don't know why it doesn't work in OBS. But anyway, welcome to this year's top 10 games of the year. Top 10 games of 2020. And in the background here, I am going to start talking about an expansion. I'm going to start, like an honorable mention. I do want to mention the Agora expansion for Seven Wonders Duel. This is my favorite expansion of the year, which doesn't really say that much because I haven't played that many expansions, to be honest. I played a few. But this one is the one that really, this would have made, even if this would have been a normal year, so to speak, and I played maybe 20 expansions or something. I think I did that in 2019. Then Agora would still probably have made my number one, right? Because I really love this expansion. It's so good. Seven Wonders Duel in itself is a cool game. I like it. I liked it for a long time. It's been in my top 10 for I don't know how many years. And, this year it made it all the way up to my number 2. Mainly because of the Agora expansion and how it sort of made me find the game again. And made me, fall in love in the game again, which is always fun. That's what I like about expansions. When they make a good expansion, at least that's like a reason to come back to a game that you already like, and then you sort of rediscover it as well. So there's so many games out there, and I might this might be a game that I haven't played for a while, and then I'll come back to it because of there's an expansion, and that sort of triggers all those feelings again. How this is such a good strategy game. I mean, it's only 2 players, but it's just cards. It's just a small package, and the Agora expansion isn't huge either. It's just there's this Parliament board with senators and some new cards, and it just the game is so good with it. It just adds so much to the game, and I can recommend also that you can try it out on Board Game Arena if you are curious about it. If you haven't tried Agora, you can do that over there, and then you pick it up, because I do like to play it together with the Pantheon expansion as well. You can't do that on Board Game Arena, at least yet. Before we go to the actual top 10 list, the top 10 games of 2020, I do want to say a few words about this year, because it's obviously it's been a weird year. I mean, in many ways, but especially for me when it comes to gaming as well. I think I played more actual hours of sort of board and card games this year than I usually do. But most of it has been, like 98% of it has been over Zoom or over Board Game Arena or solo, recording videos and so on, or with Drako, obviously. So I haven't, had my normal game groups. I haven't gone to conventions, which means, in a normal year, I play at least like once a week with my game group, and then people pick up new games. They bring new games to the game nights. Then I go to conventions like Essen Spiel, obviously the big one. 2019, I came home from Essen Spiel with over 70 new games. So, I mean, this year has been different. I got maybe, I don't know, around 20-ish games played. That is from 2020. So I was even hesitant, like, am I going to do a top 10 out of 20 games? But then again, as long as you played 10 games, you can do a top 10, in my opinion. It's just that, of course, the sort of quality, or what should I call it, will of course drop a little bit, because if it's top 10 out of 100, that's sort of better, obviously, than top 10 out of 20. But it is what it is, and I still want to keep the tradition. I still want to do my top 10 games of the year. So here is the list, and there is a bunch of games that I haven't played that was released this year, obviously, that I would like to play. And I will talk a little bit about that at the end of this video as well, at the end of the stream, about the games that I haven't been able to play yet, and what I look forward to actually play next year as well. But this is New York Zoo. New York Zoo comes in at number 10. This is Uwe Rosenberg's, I think, best polyomino puzzle game. He did 3 of them. He did Patchwork way back. He did Cottage Garden, and then it was something with spring and something with autumn. I don't remember the name now. There's 3 of those games where you puzzle together polyomino pieces, Tetris-style pieces. But in New York Zoo, he brings in this lovely meeples. And, Drako really likes these meeples. He had such a good time playing this. And, yeah, the combination of these like meeples and sort of a breeding aspect, just like in Agricola or whatever game he's made. He brought that in and have these animal meeples combined with the whole puzzle thing of the 3D or the Tetris puzzle, right? I think that combination worked really nicely. It's also a racing game in a sense because whoever fills up their board first will be the winner. So it's not a point scoring game, and I tend to enjoy that kind of style of games actually more and more, where it's not counting score at the end of the game. It's either like beating a boss or an experience, or it's like whoever gets to a certain goal first. So New York Zoo, can really recommend it, especially for families, and you can play this with anyone. It's really cute. It's really good components, thick, sturdy tiles. Everything looks nice. Project L is again Tetris style, polyomino style game. In this one, we have a lot of cool pieces. Again, I like components, that cool components in games. And in this one, there's these like plastic, actual 3D pieces that you build your Tetris puzzle with. And you build a bunch of puzzle in this game. You're sort of like taking on a puzzle. That's one of the actions. And then you're trying to finish it. And you want to have a few of them at the same time that you're working on, because there's like a master action where you get to place a tile on all of them. And the tiles are also, it's also an engine building game, because you start off with just a few tiles, and then you sort of get the tiles as reward for completing some puzzles. Or you get points, or you get both. Really fun game, and this is one of those, again, very lightweight and easy to get into. Everyone can play it. It's a lot of fun. It's fairly quick as well. So it's an easy game to get to the table and play with your family or friends and so on. This is a game I will keep in my collection for sort of not filler purposes, but like between filler and a full game. In a game night in the future. I hope I can get back to my game nights with my friends. This could be just a fun thing to pull out and play like in between, like after a heavier game, or before. If you're waiting for some people to join the game night, you can play this one in like 30-45 minutes. Perfect game for that. So Project L, my number 9, can really recommend it. And again, this is the whole, like, I'm not that good at this Tetris style puzzling, to be honest. It's not my strong suit. Like, I'm okay at it, I think. I was good at Tetris back in the days when the pieces were falling. That was just reaction mostly, reacting quick, finding solutions quick. But I can get a little bit, blindly staring at a piece and like, how am I gonna solve this in the most optimal way, of course, because like you don't want to spend too many actions placing the pieces. You want to find a way to do it in as few actions as possible, because you have like a limited time. Again, this is also like there's scoring in this game, but it's also like a race game, because when these like advanced tiles have been taken, then that triggers the end of the game. So you can sort of control like, oh, do I want to trigger the end? Am I in the lead, or so on? Another puzzle game, but in a different way. This is Unlock Star Wars. Comes in at number 8 for 2020, and this is a game that surprised me, I must say. I think this might be the surprise of the year for me, because I didn't expect to like this as much. I played the Exit games before. I haven't played the Unlock games. But the way this game, first of all, it's Star Wars. That was really cool, and I really love how the theme in this game, the puzzles, the story, everything made sense with the Star Wars story, or the theme, and also I was so impressed by how this game interacts with the digital app in the mobile phone. At the same time as you have these cards, of course, in the game, you're looking at the cards, trying to find clues, trying to figure out stuff. But then you're also using the app, and then there's like different kinds of tasks you need to do in the app, which was really, really cool. Really cool that it's sort of it feels like I love digital combinations or implementations in board games, and this is the perfect way to do it, because you're playing on the table, you have the cards, everything is going on, and then you take like a little break and you pull out the mobile phone. It's not like you're using it all the time. And then when you do it, it gives you things that like a card can't give you. Like game mechanics or a game experience that you couldn't simulate with just cards or with just tokens or a board. It gives you something more, and that's what I like about the digital apps, right? Because I'll just give one example. I don't want to spoil too much, because this is sort of well, I guess you can replay it, but mostly it's like a legacy style game. You don't rip anything up, but you play it once basically. There's 3 scenarios. This is just a tutorial, by the way, that I'm showing, so it's not a lot of spoilers. And after this one, if you want to watch more, you can watch the actual playthrough that I did, or the live stream. In that, I do continue with the first of the 3 missions as well. But anyway, like for one example is that you're looking for a droid out in the snow, and you actually take your phone and you look around, right? And then you're like trying to find a droid in the actual video or in pictures. So that's really cool. Again, that's not something that you could easily do without having that digital implementation. I know some people are like hesitant to this and say like, well, what happens if in the future, if maybe it won't work with whatever like Android or iOS or whatever I have. Well, there's new games coming in the future. It's like if you can have fun with it now, there's a lot of hours in this to play and you have fun, and you don't rip anything up. I mean, it's not like the Exit games where you actually have scissors and cut things to pieces. So you can even you can play through this and then you can sell it to someone else or give it away to a friend. And they can have the same experience. So yeah, I really like this. I really enjoy it. Forgotten Waters. I haven't made a video of this, but I played it over Zoom. So I played it sort of on video, but I never recorded that. I know that Jenny, who was in the game, she live streamed it on Twitch, and it might be possible. I don't know if it's still on there. If it is, I will put a link. I will ask her if it's okay. I will put a link to it in the description for the video afterwards. If you're watching this afterwards, I may have sorted that out. I just realized that I totally forgot about that. I think she live streamed it. Anyway, Forgotten Waters is a new game from Plaid Hat Games, and it's like a Crossroads game. So they started off with Dead of Winter that they called the Crossroads game, and then they made a space one. I don't remember what that one was called. I don't remember, but they made a space-themed game as well. And now they did this pirate-themed co-op game, Forgotten Waters, where you're... Like, we played this over Zoom, but then Connor, one of my friends, who had it on the table, so like we could, with an extra camera, so we could follow along that way. And it's mostly a game where, like, most of the game takes places... Oh, actually, there was a website as well. They have a really cool website, so it's really easy to play this remotely. Because you do like your worker placement actions on the website, and you have all the information on the website. So you almost don't need, like, you only use the camera basically for the map, to look at the map. So in this one we're like a crew of pirates on a ship. We have like some missions to accomplish, and you're doing a sort of worker placement. You're doing an action selection with your pawn every day. And then you need to gather foods, supplies. You need to, get some cannons for your ship, and then you go out on the seas, and things will happen. And it's very replayable. Let's see here, some pictures here. It's extremely replayable because you have different effects happening. Like there's all of these crossroad events or sort of things where choose your own adventure style, where you get to choose which way you want to go, what you want to head for. And you might not even know, what are the consequences of whatever choice you made, which is really cool. I think this one was really, this is an experience. This is one of those games where the game experience comes from the actual playing the game. It's like, it's the journey. It's not the end goal, right? So, had a really good time. We didn't end up doing that great, but we were laughing a lot and having a good time playing it. And I do want to play it again, and I would like to play it in real life as well, or like in a physical game when I get the chance to do that with some friends. The only downside to this game, I would say, is that it has a bit of semi-co-op in it, and I think it has to have it, because like if it was pure co-op, then it would maybe be too easy. But I don't know. I have a negative experience from a lot of these games that are semi co-op. And then of course, I mean, the experience was so good that I still want to play it again, right? That's why it's on my list. But there was some issues there with like I can spend an action to steal something from someone else, and it doesn't really do anything. I mean, it just really It's just because, oh, then I can use this item. But maybe it's smarter that I don't steal it, because the person might need that item in order for our total crew to be more successful. So for me as a co-op player, I had a little bit of a hard time with that. But really, really fun game, Forgotten Waters. The crew, such a good game. And in the crew, you are cooperating with limited information, which is something I like a lot. I liked it in the mind, and the crew reminds me a little bit of that. This is a quick review I did. It's the only quick review I've done so far on the channel. My plan is to do more quick reviews, because that way I can cover more games in shorter amount of time, sort of. But anyway, I did play this back in 2019. It was released in a limited amount, I think, at Essen Spiel. The German version, that is. So I played the German version in November last year with some friends at a convention, and that was, I liked it a lot from the start, and it didn't really matter that it was the German version. The guy that had it he just downloaded the rules online, right? But then it was released this year in English and for a wider audience, and it's gotten a lot of love. A lot of people like the crew, and I understand it, because it's a trick-taking game that is cooperative and it has limited information. So you can't really... Each round you will have a goal. So I need to win maybe the like in this one here, like Drako needs to win the pink 2. And then we need to get, like, everyone can see that. And then we need to figure out how do we make sure that he gets the pink 2 card. And maybe has to do it in a certain order as well, because it's like a campaign. So you keep playing and playing and playing games after games, and they sort of connect together because there's a campaign. There's a little bit of story. It doesn't really matter, but it still is it ramps up the difficulty as you go. And here I start talking about it, so I think we should move on, because this is weird to have me in two places. But anyway, the crew is a really cool game. Castles of Tuscany. Now, Castles of Burgundy is one of my favorite games of all time. From Stefan Feld, and then he made this one this year, which is a sort of streamlined or some way smaller version of it. It's like a different version. It's not just a smaller, quicker version, which it is, but it's also different in a good way, I think, because I feel like I could have both games in my collection, right? I want to have both Castles of Burgundy and Castles of Tuscany in my collection, because they fit different sort of time spans, and they fit different settings, sort of, but at the same time I get the same feeling a little bit in both games. You build up your kingdom with these tiles, and instead of using dice in this one you use cards. It's sort of, someone said, I don't know where I saw that, someone said it's like a mix between Ticket to Ride and Castles of Burgundy, which actually makes sense, because you're collecting cards and you're trying to find cards of the same set or like pairs in order to pay for placing your tiles. And then the tiles will get you different effects, and that's the fun of the game for me. That's what I really like, the combo wombo, as I usually call it, where you do an action that leads to another action, and that's always so fun. And that's stronger in Castles of Burgundy, though. Castles of Burgundy is better at doing that combo stuff. It does happen in this game as well, but not as often, I think. But I really like Castles of Tuscany. I can recommend it. And again, fairly lightweight. Many games here on my list are fairly lightweight, and I think overall I'm starting more and more to appreciate mid-weight or lightweight games, because, like, yeah, it's fun with, like, I just got the expansion for Anachrony. I love Anachrony, a really cool game, but it's heavy and it takes a long time and it's a lot of things to set up. You don't get to play it that often, so I like these shorter, easier to get to the table games. Just for the fact that it's easy to get them to the table, so you get more plays of them, which means you have a lot of fun. The same series, Undaunted North Africa is my number 4 for 2020, and I really liked Undaunted Normandy that came out last year. I think that one was my second or third game of 2019. So no surprise that Undaunted North Africa goes in here on number 4. Really, really fun game. I really love this war style game, but it's the deck building. It's the deck building that I enjoy. And the way, it's not just the deck building, it's the deck deconstruction as well. Because when you get shot, one of your troops get hit, you do roll the die. That's like my least favorite part of the game. There's only one die and it's just like rolling it. It's a 10-sided die. I wish there was some kind of dice mitigation more in the game. But anyway, if you get hit, then you lose a card from your deck or from your hand, right? From your you're like, you have your deck, your discard pile, and your hand of cards. That's like your total. That's your card pool. And if your card goes out of there and it's gone for the rest of the game, that's so hard to face sometimes, because like, let's say you have the sniper, and if you have 3 cards for the sniper, if you lose one of them, well, you're not going to get to activate the sniper that much, because you need to play the card in order to activate the token out on the board to shoot or move and so on. You're trying to capture objectives and so on, and that's the main thing I think was really cool in this one compared to Normandy. Like, I liked Undaunted Normandy, and I still like it more than this one, because it's more of deck building. It takes longer. It's more of building up a deck and executing the thing that you planned for, like an engine building, right? The downside to Normandy, though, is that it's not as symmetrical. So both the Germans and the Americans have the same soldiers, which is a bit boring, I think. Same cards. In North Africa, though, it's very asymmetrical. You have totally different types of troops. And it's not just about like capturing a point or killing the others. There's also like these objectives where you're trying to, like the British are trying to demolish like a certain place on the map, and then the Italians are trying to defend that spot, or vice versa. It's really cool. I really like it. I really think it's a good way that they built on to the Undaunted formula, and they also added vehicles, which are really cool. So your guys can be in a vehicle and you can travel around quicker. And you can shoot with one of them. It's like a tank and so on. And they're also working to expand this. So I think next year there's going to be some expansion that is for soloing, which sounds really cool. I mean, you can sort of solo this. I know that people have made these like fan-made solutions, because it is a 2-player game. But people have made these solutions where you can play solo. I only played it on 2 players again. But this game is so good. It's Monumental. It's called Monumental. Again, it's a deck building game with a twist, which seems to be my favorite thing these days. So you're building up your deck of units. It's a civilization game. You're like playing like the Romans or the Egyptians or something. You're building up your deck. Then you're putting out 9 cards like in a grid, and then you're activating those cards. So you're activating 1 row and 1 column, and you need, you can do that in different combinations, right? So it's a bit of a puzzle there as well. Low quality here on the video for some reason, I don't know. And it's so good. I mean, I like the deck building aspect. You're picking up new cards. You need like gold and science to get new cards, and then you use those cards to build like an engine. So it's an engine building. You get better and better as you go. But you also have, like on the side of this whole thing, which this is like a game in itself, the whole deck building and how you activate the cards and you pick up new cards. That could have been a small game in itself. But then you also have this board on the side with really, really nice made, really, really cool miniatures. I think I have some internet issues. That's why the video quality here is fairly low. Anyway, so on this board, you're moving around with your miniature. Here we go. And you're like fighting. You have like a separate area control game where you're fighting your opponents or taking over different areas to get benefits and so on, and score points at the end of the game as well. So that's really cool how they combined a dudes on a map, really well made miniatures, really cool ones. One of the some of the best I've seen in the miniature, my miniature experience. And they're also like, they're not painted, but they're like this whitish style plastic instead of the boring gray that it usually is. So it looks so good even if it's not painted. I don't even think I'm going to paint this one because it already looks nice. And I have so many games that I want to paint at the same time, so there's no time. But yeah, so Monumental, I can really recommend this one. I also went out and got the expansion right away. It was released this year because it was on Kickstarter last year, and then it came this year. But I also picked up the expansion from the secondhand market. I haven't played that one yet, but I look forward to do it. It adds like more civilization, so you get more variation. Really cool game. So I think Monumental is a game that I will be playing quite a bit in the future as well. Still only played it solo, I should say. I only played this game solo. It works really good solo. It has a really good solo mode. But I look forward to playing it with friends as well. The only issue maybe I can think of is that it probably has a bit of downtime, right? Because you do quite a lot of actions on your turn. But they tried to fix that as well in the expansion. They added a new rule. So you're doing like one action, then you do one action, then like we keep going around. instead of like in the base game you're doing like all your actions and then it's the next player's turn. That sounds really bad from a game design perspective. So I'm happy that they changed that. So I look forward to playing this with my friends. This is one of those games. I think this is like, well, this is the top game basically that I will, when I can get back to my gaming groups and play with them, I will bring Monumental right away and play with them. This is the first one I want to play as soon as we can. So that says a lot about the game, right? So Pandemic Legacy Season 0, it's my number 2 of the year, even though I haven't finished it yet. Me and Drako, this is a spoiler-free unboxing that you see in the background, so don't worry, I'm not showing that much at all. Yeah, so me and Drako, we're playing Pandemic Legacy Season 0. It's like 2-player style, of course, and so far we're having a really good time with it. It's such a good Legacy game, and I am playing it this way at home because I'm not going to sit around and wait for when I can play it on 4 players with friends, right? Because I don't know when that's going to happen, so. But it works really well as a 2-player game, and you know, Drako is chilling and I'm helping him out. It's hard for him with all the little small paw, you know, figures, and he has his Drako, you know, it could be a bit tricky to grab the pieces. So I'm helping Drako out a bit, but we're having fun together, and I think the story is really good. And I must say also that this year, I don't know, I know some people don't agree with me, but I'm not a big fan of playing a game about a pandemic this year. For me, that doesn't really. There's so many good games. Like that's not something I would go for normally, or like normally. There's nothing normal right now, but I wouldn't go for it this year. But Pandemic Legacy Season 0 is not about the pandemic really. It's more about the Cold War and so on. If you have seen one of my favorite shows on Netflix is The Americans. If you have seen The Americans, you're gonna love this game. If you love Americans, it really feels like that's what you're doing, sort of. Well, zoomed out, but anyway, really cool. So, and I like how they added new elements to the game. I don't want to say too much because it's spoilerish, but they have changed up a bit of how you actually play the game. I mean, they did that in Pandemic Legacy Season 2 as well, and now they changed it up even more. And so far, from everything I've seen, it's just for the positive. I just like it. I think normal Pandemic, like normal standard board game Pandemic, for me, I'm not that excited these days. It's a good gateway game. I had a lot of fun with it back in the days, but I'm not that excited about it. But here they sort of twisted some of the normal concepts that we're used to. Like you draw those cards, you do this, you do that. And they did a little tweak to it, which makes it much more interesting in my opinion. I really had a good time so far. And we're only in like, what is it, Drako? We're in March, I think, or April. So we have a lot to go in this game, and a lot of boxes that we haven't opened, a lot of, you know, things we haven't ripped up yet. So I look forward to keep playing with Drako. But there's been a lot of good games coming here lately. December has been packed with new games for me, so I haven't had the time to continue this. We'll do that soon. And one of the main reasons that we haven't had time to play this as much as I was hoping for or planning for when I got it from SPD is my number 1. My number 1 has taken up most of my time during December so far, and let's go to number 1. So my number 1 of 2020, my favorite game of this year. No competition here. This was by far my number 1. Drako was so excited for this. We love this game, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Now, Gloomhaven, of course, is my number 1 game of all time. As of this year, I did my top 100. Gloomhaven made the number 1 spot, partially actually because in that number 1 spot, I put together Gloomhaven and Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion into one space. I don't like it to have the same sort of game in different spaces, and it is sort of the same game, but at the same time, this is the game that Gloomhaven should have been from the start. Or I love the big Gloomhaven box, right? But it would have been easier for everyone if Isaac Childress had made this game first, because this is like an introduction to the whole Gloomhaven world and the Gloomhaven system. So in this game, Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, you play as a bunch of mercenaries that will hang out at the Lion, which is an inn. They drink beer and so on, and then they go out on missions. And in the game, you have in this playthrough here, I'm playing with Drako, and this has been continuing. I played the tutorial. The 5 first scenarios are on video, so you can go check them out if you haven't. Then I kept playing off cam, and so in December I spent a lot of time on this game, and I will keep playing it until the end here. So fun, so much fun. You go out with your miniatures, your little adventures on the map, and the map is actually, as you can see, it's actually the book that you're flipping the pages in, so you have the maps on the pages, which is such a smart design decision. Like in Gloomhaven, you have a bunch of tiles, but they get so generic. Like, oh, I've been here before, because like, oh, this is a new dungeon. You put in some tokens to represent like terrain or whatever. But since in this one, when they have the book, they can make a really nice artwork and actually, like, you know, like you can do, you can have whatever picture you want, right? So the maps look really different, and they really fit whatever theme or whatever place you're in, and with the story and everything. So such a smart design decision, and of course also it makes it so much easier to play. It's so much easier to pull out on the table and start playing, because you don't need to spend like 30 minutes or whatever setting up all the tokens and all the pieces together. Here you just put out the thing, you put a few pieces out like coins and traps, but it's such a nice, smooth, streamlined version of Gloomhaven. And it's I can really recommend this for people that haven't played Gloomhaven and you want to give it a shot, get into it, because the tutorial will take you step by step and learn the game as you play. Oh wow, really love this. And I think it's also interesting because Gloomhaven, I mean, I love RPG games. I played RPG games on the computer and so on for, you know, as long as I, you know, since I was a kid basically. But you know, Diablo or whatever, but it's the, for a board game, this grid hex combat is not something that I generally am that fond of, but I really love it in Gloomhaven. I think it's because of the sort of deck aspect. You have your hand management and your deck, and your cards are also your life, right? So that's so good. And you're playing 2 cards, you're doing the top part of one, bottom part of the other, try to figure out how to do it best. And then you have the added, like, there's no dice in the game, but you still have the randomness from that deck that you draw a modifier card from that will affect your attack. You might miss, or you might get a double attack and so on. And that makes it exciting and frustrating as well, but it's so much fun. Really, you know, I look forward right now to just pulling this out and play again. I think I will actually do this weekend, because I've been streaming like I'm streaming every day now. I'll be doing that over Christmas, and you know, I will do that all the way up to Sunday. And then on Monday, my new life begins, where I'm gonna, you know, do some real work, you know, other stuff outside of videoing and so on, and start, you know, getting back to my exercises and everything, eating more healthy and all that again. But I will also play, you know, I will make less videos in January, but I will be playing a lot of Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion off cam, and also Pandemic Legacy Season 0. I will try to finish both those games in January, and I look forward to next year. Frosthaven is coming. I, you know, went all in backing that, and I think that's going to be awesome as well. And I'll do a bunch of video playthroughs of that as well as soon as I get it, because that's going to be so much fun. I look forward to the next year. I will talk more about that in a stream on Friday. So Friday evening, January 1st, there's gonna be a stream. I'm gonna put out the event after we're done here, and there's gonna be a stream about a vlog where I do questions and answers, and I talk about 2020 with some fun analytic stuff from the channel, and I'll talk about my hopes and wishes for 2021. So there's gonna be a new video and like some anticipated games and so on. So that stream is coming on Friday, and I look forward to that as well. I hope you will be there. Alright, thank you so much for watching, everyone. Sorry again for the internet issues. If you watch this afterwards, you never noticed that, so it doesn't matter for you. I hope you enjoyed this list. Let me know in the comment section of the actual video that comes after I pull this down and edit it and put it up again tomorrow. Let me know what your thoughts about my list. And if you have any questions or anything, just, you know, contact me or send me a comment there in the comment section. And thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope next year will be better for everyone. And thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening, morning, or whenever you're watching. Take care. Bye-bye.
Breathe in. Look into these eyes. Subscribe to the channel. Now, exhale.